guys, how's it going? Hobo Yeti here. It's a Sunday, and temperatures getting back down into the 50s, and good stuff. So recently I was reminded that a lot of homeless people, a lot of people that are yet to be homeless, they see becoming homeless as an option. People over 50, in their 60s, maybe even on Social Security or something, and they're just like, okay, well, they're in a situation where they're like, okay, for whatever reason, we don't really have enough money to continue paying on our mortgage or renting a place. We don't have new income coming in. We've got Social Security something, but it's not enough to, it's not enough to rent a place on. And they actually see themselves as becoming homeless, and that's the retirement plan, right? Because, and a lot of these people are just like a lot of us out there. They're just like, well, I want to be able to take care of myself. I don't want to be beholden to anybody. I don't want to be anybody else's problem. So they plan on becoming homeless, and they're just like, okay, I've got $1,000 to last the month, or however much they have. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but they've got like $1,000, and they're like, well, I can't afford a place, but I can afford, to be homeless and live outside, and maybe a hotel every now and again, and I've got enough money for that. I got enough money for my medications, for whatever I need, right? But there are, I guess, 7 areas. Like, if you're considering, becoming homeless as an option for your retirement. It's not really retirement, but I know it's kind of just a fun play on words. It's like, well, we don't have any choice, so let's, live in a tent. But there are 7 things that if you're considering becoming homeless, if that's on the table for you, there are some aspects of being homeless that you may not have thought about. So the first one is mobility. How are you getting around? Are you going to be living in a car, a van? Are you going to be, if you're living in a tent, how are you going to be able to get around? And something that comes into play is how far are you from town or whatever, I saw this older couple. They look like in their early 70s, and they had all new gear, but like they were camped out. This was just last year, but they had a tent downtown on a sidewalk, and I guess that worked for them at the time. I don't know what happened to them, but like they were I think they were just trying to make do as best they could. And being older, you become a victim, or you can become a victim. You can become victimized. And so for them, I'm guessing living downtown was an option. You're right near a sidewalk. You're near public areas that if you need help, you can get it. You don't have to worry about, falling in the woods and breaking your hip or something. You just get on the sidewalks and walk. But mobility plays a big part. Like, are you walking? Do you have a wheelchair? Are you, how are you able to get around? Like, if you had to go through hiking up a pretty steep incline, going through the woods, are you carrying a cane? That plays a big part. My mobility is okay. I've fallen a couple of times, and in fact, I fell a month and a half ago, and my knee is still sore. I don't have any. I've been walking without my cane because I left that behind when I left my old campsite, but I could really use it nowadays. But I'll just have to get another one when I get a little bit of cash or whatever. The thing is if you're living further out, let's say you decide to go kind of out in the boonies, right? You might have an electric bike or something like that. and you're using solar panels to charge that electric bike up or something. There's a lot of physical activity involved. It's not like running, but like, where are you getting your water? Do you have to go down the creek, collect water, and bring it back up to your camp? How mobile can you be? Typically, the closer you are to the city or to civilization or whatever, the less mobility there's less mobility needed. But all these are considerations. Number two is your ability. So how physically fit are you? I'm not very physically fit. I don't need to be, though. But if I was living, I guess, further out, like when it snows, am I able to, if I was living east of here in the mountains or something, where it snows several feet and that snow stays on the ground, like how would I get around, and would I be able to do it? You're also dealing with extreme temperatures sometimes. How able are you to handle that? Any groceries that you have, like even if you're a lot of times, if you have an electric bike, you can't take that all the way to your camp necessarily. So you end up like trudging back and forth with groceries all day after you buy them. So number three is going to be location of camp. Where is your camp? Is it in the woods? If it's typically, the further you are out of the city, the more ability, the more mobility you need to have, just because you're at the whim of the wilderness. And you might have, you might have internet out there, you might have phone, but for like, say you had, like, you tripped and fell, broke your leg or something, and you're alone out there, you would pretty much need to get to the road. I mean, sure, you can call, like, for search and rescue or the ambulance or something, but more than likely it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get out to you. So keep that in mind. Safety, especially when you're older, safety is a big deal. Like, how safe is it? The thing is, maybe you've got enough money that you're going to be homeless. You get a little piece of land, and you've got it taken care of. Like, you're all set up. You're ready for this. Maybe you're living in a vehicle. Maybe that works for you. But if you're living in a tent, like, basically people could just come across you and beat you up and steal your stuff, or just beat you up, because that's what people do sometimes. So how safe are you? Also, like, if you're out in the boonies, do you have a rifle? Do you have a weapon? How are you going to defend yourself? I mean, you can be accosted anywhere, even close to a city or whatever, but it's important to kind of take that in consideration. How are you going to protect yourself? How safe is your location? The next one is long-term viability. Like, during the summer, you might get out into, summertime or spring or fall, and you find a nice little stealth camp that you got. But as the winter comes on, how are you able to deal with that? Because, like last year, it got up to above 100 here during the summer, and sitting in my tent at that time was just downright uncomfortable. And then during the winter time, are you able to manage that? Because the older you get, the colder you get more easily, and so how are you going to be able to deal with those? If you're in your car, even, that's still a problem. I mean, you can turn on the car, but you can't just keep your car on 24/7. If you're in a van, maybe, or an RV, that might work. But the extremes of heat, the extremes of cold, you just kind of have to. It's really something to consider, because it's going to play a big part in your life. Health and meds. So that's number 6. Health and meds. How is your health? Can you be able and mobile and maintain a good health that way? I mean, are you on a specified diet? Medications, are you going to be able to afford the medications? And like, for instance, let's say you're diabetic and you need to keep the insulin at a certain level, a certain chilled temperature, right? Like, how are you going to do that? It plays a part. But, I don't know. I guess the next one is going to be finances. How are your finances, I've known some people that they became homeless knowing that that was the only choice left to them. And it was an incremental thing, you can kind of keep stuff, like maybe you started off in your car and then you have to get rid of the car, and slowly but surely you end up in a tent and you're homeless. And like, but what are your finances like? Because, if you're making, like, say $1,000 a month or something, you can afford your medications, right? Hopefully. You can get new gear if you need to. You can get hot food when you need to. And especially on days that are more trying, like maybe it's a snowstorm or all your gear gets wet or something like that from excessive flooding, like that, you would be able to go in, or you get scabies, right? And you go into a hotel for a couple of days and be able to do that without any problem. So, one of the main problems with being homeless is you're in a temporary space. It's not like you have your own land. If you have your own land, you could build a shed on that, and you can build that out, and you can make options for yourself. But if you're just in a tent on wherever it is, public land somewhere, you have less options. And also, something to consider is that you never buy like top quality gear, like a $800 sleeping bag, a $500 tent. You don't do that. That's not something that makes sense. I had a buddy that did that, and he left for the day to do some odd jobs or something, came back, and his tent was gone. All of his stuff was gone through and trashed, but most of his stuff was just gone, like somebody stole it, right? And but it's a lesson learned that you don't spend, like, I guess you can get okay gear, gear that's better than, say, Walmart gear, right? But you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on your gear, like getting a down quilt. I mean, if you're living in your van or something, that would be a different option. But the thing is they say that I think that the study that I was reading said that in the next couple of years, there's going to be 3 times as many homeless over the age of 50, because everybody's not just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless. They're like half a paycheck away from being homeless. It's that stark of a contrast. And our consumerist society is not it's not sustainable. And maybe back in the day you saved up enough money for your retirement, maybe saved up $1 million, but that goes pretty quick nowadays. And maybe it's 5 years later and you're realizing that you can't survive. I was reading up on, like, anytime I do a video, a lot of times I'll just do a lot of research on it. And the thing is being homeless over the age of 50 is hard. Over 60, I can't even imagine. Over 65, I know it's doable, but it's like you start losing your mobility, your ability, and it just becomes a real hard thing, And so I don't know, if you don't prepare yourself for prepare for yourself, right? Like, considering, it's like being a prepper. You're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, and you're going, okay, do I have mobility, ability, finances, what's my health, what's my gear, where am I going to do this, and then have a backup location that you could go to. Am I going to have a bicycle? Am I going to have an electric bicycle, which, to be honest with you, costs as much as a car sometimes, right? but all of these things come into play. I think if you're older than say 55, 60 or so, 65, and you're going to consider being homeless as your retirement option, you can do that, but it's not sustainable in the long term. First of all, the longer you're out here, the harder it is. The harder it is on your body and yourself. Like, there's just wear and tear. There's much more of it living out. You're laying on the ground or on a cot, whatever you're doing, but there's a lot of up and down, and this is hard. Every time you gotta, go to the bathroom, go out there, and there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more running around, and sure, you can minimize the harshness on your body. You can minimize that, but there are also other considerations as time goes by. Some people are like, I'm homeless, I'm free, and I've been doing this for 10 years, and I plan on doing it till I'm 75. But the thing is as you get older, it gets harder, and especially as you're getting older, while you're homeless, it's harder on your body, right? And so, like I said before, over 65, it's like 5 years for one. So every 1 year that you're homeless, you think your body ages 5 years, and I just don't see it as a long-term option. You definitely want to find a better way if you can, but as like a short-term solution, definitely it's something you can do. The problem is sometimes you'll get into that short-term solution, like I have, and be stuck and realize, well, I can't really get a job. I can't really, what am I going to do? I can do the YouTube. Okay, let's try that, but try YouTube, maybe do that, make your own channel and stuff, see if that works for you. But if you've got finances, a monthly check coming in, that's good. That'll help mitigate the harshness of this life, living outside and stuff. But anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. Homeless retirement option. It's not really a great option, but if you have to do it, I would say it's good part-time. It's just not, as you get older, as you get over like 60, 65, it just becomes less and less of an option, and more of it takes a harsher toll on your body. I hope your road's a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. Take care.